say that the absolute value of x is less than 7. Now before we solve this or talk about this, I want to, let's just look at, I'm going to make a set of numbers that would be true. Think about what numbers could you put in for the letter x that when you take the absolute value of, you would get that would be less than 7. Somebody throw something, just give me, if you don't know.
6.
Oh, does 6 work? So if I put a 6 in here, what's the absolute value of 6?
6.
Is that less than 7? Yes, so I'm going to put a 6 in
I
there.
don't think less than 6.
Negative 3, if I put a negative 3 in there, the absolute value of a negative 3 is positive 3, is that less than 7? Yes, so negative 3.
Oh, I get it.
Oh, negative.
So it can't be like a
Negative
negative 8.
Negative 6, I put a negative 6 in there, the absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6, which is still less than 7, so yes, negative 6
Between
would be in
negative
there.
6 and 6.
Negative 8.
If I put a negative 8 in there, the absolute value of negative 8 is 8. 8 is not less than that, so negative 8 is not an answer to that.
Greater than negative
So tell me what my answers could be. That's what I want you to tell me. Jacob Bowman?
Any number with negative 6.
Yes, kind of. Any number that is actually, for this one, starts at negative 7 but doesn't include negative 7. And it goes all the way to the positive 7 but doesn't include 7.
So could you say negative 6 and then close circle?
Huh? No, because if it was negative 6.5, which would not be part of your thing, it would be a true answer. You know what I'm saying? If you put negative 6 here and put a closed circle here and don't include this, any number between 6 and 7 also works. You have to include it. That's why you have to start there. Now, then there is, ladies and gentlemen, the important thing, right, Alyssa? Yes? No? Sure, she says. When you have this type of graph for an inequality, what type of inequality is that? We had two types. We had ands and ors. This is and that's what you get when you have a less than sign. Okay, when you have a less than is a and equation when you solve it. In other words, when you actually draw this out, if you get the absolute value of x is less than 7, you are going to have a negative 7, you're going to have a 7 there, you're going to have an x there, and you're going to have this. This is the answer to that, and graphed out it is like that. Now had there been an equal sign under here, it'd be exactly the same, except there'd be equal signs under there. These circles would be colored in. Got that? Now, I suppose with that being said, you might be able to guess what happens if we switch that around and we say that the absolute value of x is greater than, let's say, or equal to. Let's do greater than or equal to 7. So now, when I do my little, I'll make a little set of possible answers there. What answers could you get? Again, wanting things that are bigger than 7.
8.
Okay, you could have 8, 9, 10, 11, and all their negative counterparts, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10. What can't you have?
2.
Anything that falls in between of those, which means if you're graphing this on a line, here at 7 and here at negative 7, which way is the line shooting? Yeah, they go off in opposite directions, which means when it is a greater than symbol, greater than is an or inequality. Okay, which means we can't put it together, you just have to say that x is greater than or equal to 7 and x is less than or equal to negative 7. You have to actually write that out. X is greater than 7, less than negative 7. So when you see the greater than symbol, that's what you get for that.
on that?
Well, that was the basic simple form. You have to actually solve them now.
I tried.
You did, but you missed somewhere along the line.
The guy like ran to the first.
Now that you have that simple little tidbit of information, let's actually look at an inequality equation here. Let's do this one. -2 times the absolute value of x is less than -6. Uh-oh. Less than -6. Now, the same rules apply here, children, as always when you solve absolute value inequalities or inequalities. It's a combination. The first thing you want to do is to isolate that absolute value thing. So in order to do that, you need to
Divide by 2.
divide by -2. And then you must remember that when you divide by a negative on the x side, what happens?
Flip the side.
Yeah, the inequality sign has to change. This goes away. You have the absolute value of x. The sign has to change to its opposite. This becomes a 3. Then you pretty much have your answer right now. X, the absolute value of x is greater than 3. So graphing it, you know you're going to have dots here at -3 and at 3. The question is that an and or is that an or? Are the lines going to come together or are they going to shoot off in opposite directions?
Or.
To which you're going to say
Or.
greater than is or, so that means your answer looks like this. And that's only common sense because if you think about this, you know, what numbers could answer that? They'd have to be 3 or bigger than for that. That's not so bad.
That's all you do?
I'm not done just yet. How about this one? The absolute value of x minus 5 is less than or equal to 3. Less than or equal to 3. First things first,
Change the 5.
well, first things first, in my mind I would say this is and or, less than is,
And.
yeah, this is going to be an and one, so in the end, you know that these things are going to come together. Okay, and remember when you're solving absolute value inequalities, you have to write 2 equations when there's something inside that absolute value. You need to know when x minus 5 is less than or equal to 3. Okay, and then you need to know when x minus 5, I believe, is going to be greater than or equal to -3. I believe though that sign changes if I'm reading the book correctly. Yes, it is. And then when you solve these, what are you going to end up with? Add 5, you get x is less than or equal to 8. Add 5, you get x is greater than or equal to, what, 3? 2. 2. If you did not change this sign when you made it its opposites, okay, when you make its opposites, you have to change the sign. Otherwise, you're going to get an answer that won't. You won't even get an answer. Okay, when you graph it, it has to be between 2 and 8, and it's a closed circle. Change that, change that, change that. What do you think of that? Same thing if it's an or one, when you have a bunch of stuff under there. If you have x plus 7 is greater than 3. First thing I would make sure I know is it's a greater than thing, so it's an or problem. You're going to shoot off in opposite directions. What 2 equations are you going to have? You're going to have the one that stands as it is, and you're going to have the one that's the opposite, x plus 7 goes -3. And solving both of those, x is greater than negative 4. Subtract 7, x is less than negative 10. Graphing it here at negative 4. Wait, did I do that backwards? Why doesn't that seem to be quite right? What did I do wrong? Something over here. Oh, I do it right, sorry. Negative 4 goes this way, and negative 10 is over here. I just drew the thing on the wrong side. Less than negative 10. I knew something didn't seem right there. You with me? You're not with me, you're not against me. Now, ooh, ladies and gentlemen. Something else done for